Hey folks, welcome to the Breakaway Homestead. I'm Patrick,
And I'm Megan.
and we are here. What are you doing?
Normally the little microphone one that's going back and forth.
These are the sections here, right? You scroll through the section.
There she blows.
Web camera microphone. See? So hey, guess what? No
Chicken
skipping.
Butt.
A little bit of
Pixelation,
but we're back up. I figured it out, folks. Had some stuff backwards on the old the modem there. And so we have two antennas, one main antenna and then one secondary antenna. So one gets more power than the other. And guess what? I had them backwards. Our outdoor antenna was on the You think it was you?
I plugged in last time after we
You
came
did
back.
plug in last time.
I didn't know there was a primary and secondary.
No, I updated the software on it, and then I went and looked at it going, God, it can't just be one bar. It's got, and then hooked it up.
Boof.
It's 4 bars. So we're happy about that.
We should be good.
So
it's an easy fix.
Easy fix. We got 8 people watching right now.
Yay.
And before people ask, just let them know what's on my shirt.
You never listen to me. You only hear what you want to hear. And the little man says, sure, I'll have a beer.
That's right.
I bought it for him.
Many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The shirt is very, very old.
That's why it has a big old hole in it.
It's a holy shirt.
Big old hole.
So, all right, well, we got a new format going on. We start at 8:30 on Thursday nights, Eastern Standard Time now. That way we can do what we need to do. We're going to segment some things out, and then we're going to get to our main topic. And tonight's main topic is, of course, the truth about GMOs. And we want to start putting out information and education more.
Yeah, kind of get back to what we were doing before.
Instead
we kind of, the end of the last year,
we winged it a lot.
We got tired.
Yeah.
Like, straight up. We got tired.
What's going on tonight? So I think this being on Thursday will give us plenty of time to prepare for
I don't know.
that.
I feel, even though, like, we're further along in the week and I'm, like, more tired because we're further along in the week, I feel more prepared for the show.
Oh, wait, Steve's here, Kitty's here, Sybil's
like
here, Anita G's here.
Vena's here.
Vena Trollslayer. Wow. It's been a while. Yeah. You're going to have to catch up on the hen's roost because I have not heard of anything in a while, even if you guys are doing that anymore. But I'd love to catch up with you ladies. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I wasn't talking.
So right now we're going to talk about the ongoings of Breakaway Homestead here.
Yeah.
What's been happening? I want to. We're going to go up to display capture here and turn that on. So, of course, you can see my other screen that I got up here. Talk about some stuff that we did over the weekend.
Yes.
So Megan learned repair of fences. So explain where the fences came from.
So Pat's boss separated.
No.
I thought these came from the first house.
Yeah, this came from his new house. But
okay, well, he bought a new house.
Story behind it.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go that far into it. Anyway, Pat's boss bought a new house for reasons, and he wanted to re-fence the whole thing, and he was talking to Pat about it, and he was like, the stuff that's there is some of it's good, some of it's bad. He's like, I just want it all gone so I can just put my new fence in and not have to worry about it. So Pat was like, well, I mean, free fencing, I'll take it. And he was like, all right, you come pull it, you can have it. So Pat went out. He's been out like 3 times now altogether, and has gotten a bunch of different types of fencing that we're going to use to fence in our yard. Most of it's some form of rollable wire fence. So we have like these big rolls in our front yard. But then there were these dog kennel panels.
And they had holes in them. No idea.
What is ringing?
I don't know. That's weird.
Is there a cat on the printer?
Probably.
And so anyway, so there's dog kennels, and some of them had holes cut in them. And so we were like, okay, well, we can fix that. We had some chain link left over from our chicken coop that we also got for free from my boss because she got rid of all her chickens. And she was like, if you want it, come take it. So I was like, heck yeah, I want it. So we had some chain link left over from that. And so we made patches.
So long story short, Megan got to learn how to patch chain link.
Yep, on 2 of the different panels.
And is it hard? Is it difficult?
It was not actually.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pay attention, but it's not hard.
Right. So we put those panels up and created a structure. Pull that up there. So here is
Our brand new chicken coops.
Yep.
So it's 2 10s across like the length of it, and
10
then
by
a 10 across each side. And then in the middle, you can kind of see where there's a smaller, like a half fence, so that we have 2 separate sections. So basically, it's a 10 by 10 enclosure.
So what are these enclosures for?
Those are for our Ayam Samanis. Those are for our all black chickens.
So speaking of our Ayam Samanis,
there's one of our girls, and she's roosting, and we're super excited because there's seriously like 15 eggs under there. You can't tell from this photo, but she is flat as a pancake. Like, you don't know she's in there unless you know she's in there.
she's brooding.
Brooding, roosting, whatever, brooding. She's making them babies.
Yeah, she's a pretty girl.
But yeah, well, they're all 4 of them are beautiful.
So, yeah.
So yeah, so that was super exciting. Someone, Mr. Grouchy Pants over here, was like, I don't want to do it. And I was like, no.
Aren't you glad you got up the muster to
Well, it was my weekend
get
off.
those things done?
And I was like, you either do it with my help, or you're doing it next weekend by yourself.
Yeah.
And sure as shit.
Well, the weather's been nice for it.
The weather was beautiful, like 65.
We've had the windows open for the past week.
Yeah.
That's crazy, especially for January.
Yeah.
But oh man, winter's gonna rear his ugly head starting tonight. She turned the heat on tonight, so it's like, wow, what's going on there? So that's what's really going on,
That's pretty much it.
and we'll talk about what's going on next week at that time. So next section we're going to talk about is your health, and so here's the new intro for your health. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
What you want? What is a tattoo?
Our little man.
Our little man is a tattoo. Well, luckily he's purchased in, so we own the rights to that little man. So that's good. So in this section of your health, we're going to come up with a certain topic that we think is important, or something we've tried,
Or
something
different,
that nature. And so what we are coming up with for this week is something that we've been using now since Christmas.
Yep.
And that is
a little after Christmas.
Chinese cupping system. And I'll pull
This is actually Korean.
well,
No, mine is Korean.
yours is Korean because it came from Korea, but it's actually a Chinese cupping.
Traditional Chinese medicine.
Exactly. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. So this is what we just showed you guys. We've had this set for 3 weeks now.
Ish, yeah.
And we have used it several times since then.
Pat had never had cupping done before. I had at the therapist at our chiropractor.
Right.
The massage therapist is also certified in cupping, and so I'd had it done before, but he'd never had it done. So
She come home looked like she made out with an octopus.
it was ridiculous.
It was funny.
But
I was like, all right, we'll try it out. She had bought it anyway. I was going to get a set myself, but she had thought about.
I was like, surprise!
Yeah, I was like, I was going to get one of those. But this is what the set looks like exactly. There's a description down at the bottom, in the description below, with a link if you guys think about getting one of these. But it has all these cups in it. This is not the use alcohol and flame
this is
cup.
with
This is a
a
little
vacuum
safer.
pump.
We do have children, don't mix.
Well, that
fire
I
and
don't. I mean, I like fire. Don't get me wrong, but I not me. So
here's me getting cupped for the very first time.
yeah.
And you can see it's no joke. The cups do pull
And it looks horrendous, but it really isn't.
It's not. It's not horrendous at all.
So basically, the principles of cupping is kind of the reverse of getting a traditional massage, which helps relieve muscle aches and tension. But when you're doing a massage, you're pushing down. So it's pushing those layers of tissue further and further together.
Yeah.
With cupping, is for sore muscles and tightness. What it does is it pulls those layers of skin apart. So it allows fresh blood to enter into the different layers of your muscles and your skin, and it just helps alleviate those pains. I have issues with my shoulder from old sports injuries and stuff, and traditional massage just compresses it even further, and it feels good, and it does bring some relief, but it doesn't help the way I need it to help.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons that I originally got the cupping from the massage therapist. Because, and she explained it to me, she talked it through. They have a vacuum set as well there that they use. And for me, with, places like my shoulder, it is almost instantaneous relief when you pop those cups off. It's amazing.
So here's a picture of Megan's back. And what this does is kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So all these cups were on the same amount of time, right? And you can see that the one on the bottom right hand side is more gray, and the one on the top upper left hand side is more red. Same with the one on the bottom. Now this comes to fact with not only is this a massage thing, but it's also a Chinese medicine that works with your chi.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of a little color scale as to how you react to cupping. And it says you have healthy blood circulation if you just got a normal hickey there. Moderate
Pat has one on his neck right now, and you can't, I can see it, but someone actually asked at work if he had ringworm on his neck.
See it?
Yeah, lean back this way. Yeah, right there. Because we did them across his shoulders, so you can kind of see the remnants of one there, and then one there.
You're going to ruin my old shirt.
And somebody's like, is that ringworm?
So I'm like, you got ringworm. I'm like,
yeah.
No, I don't got ringworm. But severe stagnation, congestion and toxins, blood and chi deficiency. So you got blood and chi deficiency.
We also have severe stagnation.
So look at that right there, the bottom right. That is your chi deficiency. And then stagnation throughout the rest of the
But it's interesting because if you put it on an area that might be sore, and I mean, it still helps, but you won't get the bruising that you get if you put it somewhere else.
Right.
Like he had them all the way across his shoulder. The ones up here didn't leave any marks. It was further down that did, because that's where the muscle tissue and the skin was all compressed more. And this is just a picture. A lot of professional athletes, Olympic athletes.
These are Olympians that do cupping to help with their performance.
Yeah. There's muscle, like bodybuilders and weightlifters and stuff that do it as well. So it's starting to gain more
popularity,
of a following, if you will, in mainstream medicine. I love it. I can feel the relief. Just all over. It relaxes me. I don't feel as tight. And there's also we've got a booklet that came with it. That we've been reading into, but there's also certain cupping patterns that can help with things like digestion or, things like that. And there's certain areas that you put them that hit your pressure points and where you would get acupuncture done. And you can actually use it in conjunction with acupuncture. We do not do that here at the house, but,
so you can see here, this is our website, www.breakawayhomesteader.us. In the upper left-hand corner right here, we put a link for those cupping things. There's also a link in the description below if you're interested on having what we have. It's up to you, but it's on our website.
And I thoroughly have enjoyed it.
I have too.
It helps.
I had this knot in my neck the other night,
which came from the hickey.
That thing, and she worked on it for a good 5-10 minutes. We could not get that knot out. And so we cupped it, and it went away. So we're happy about it, but we're not medical professionals.
This is just us doing things here in our house.
Right. and sharing it with you guys because we think it helps. So if it can help you, then why not share it with you?
And there's lots of different types as well, so definitely look into it. And we do dry cupping here. There's also practice of wet cupping where you actually make small lacerations underneath where the cups will go,
Yep.
and it'll draw the blood out. There's some
bloodlet.
It's
that's more Asian tradition. That
yeah.
They do that. Most people do it like on the bottom of their feet, or they do the Iron Man, do it right in the middle of their chest. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But that was the Your Health section, and we hope you take that info.
Yeah.
And so.
Can I get the chat back? I don't know which one of your tabs.
No problem. So let's see
There we
who's
go.
all here.
Okay, so it looks painful.
It's not.
It can be uncomfortable because you gotta figure.
Who asked the question?
Anita.
So Anita.
So for me, like if you are getting a therapeutic massage, not like a spa day, but a therapeutic massage where they are working at your problem areas, that is going to be painful. You're pressing on muscle bumps and tightness that hurt. This to me hurts less than that because instead of pushing down,
that's right, Steve. It doesn't hurt at all.
Pulling it away.
It actually feels really good.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a knot or something, you can feel it actually releasing that knot.
So, I mean, it's not necessarily comfortable, but I don't feel like it hurts.
Steve,
we are not
leeches are really old school. That's old Chinese medicine.
God, no, I think I would probably vomit. GMO leeches. So.
GMO. Ooh. Sub, how are you doing, sweetheart? I hope you're doing well.
And hi, Doc. I saw you on there. Your cat's fine.
Cat's fine.
He's actually feisty, and he nibbled on me earlier.
And so another thing we decided we're going to do this year was one of my goals was to do. We got an Instant Pot for Christmas, and one of my goals is to do one Instant Pot meal every week for the year of 2020.
Well, qualification, not necessarily a meal.
It doesn't have to be a meal.
We want to use the Instant Pot at least once a week with a new recipe.
So we're coming up with a new section called Instant Pot 2020.
This is the first time I've seen these.
She's just seeing these intros for the first time. And so what we did, so starting out the first week, we wanted to do something simple. It was actually our 10-year anniversary on Tuesday. And so we had breakfast or dinner. And so I made a
big old pancake.
Instant Pot giant pancake.
Okay, ours looked better than that one.
I think so too. So this is the actual Instant Pot pancake. That's
gross. Do you have our picture?
Right. I will show the other picture here in a second. I'm gonna show the display capture here real quick. So this is from delish.com, and the recipe worked out really well.
Yeah, it was really good.
It wasn't bad at all. It's very airy, very light, like a big pancake, but more or less a cake.
Kind of, yeah.
But it was pretty darn good, and it turned out pretty well as well. So this is what the website shows, and this is what came out. I think it turned out well.
It did,
and it was good. The kid enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I had 2 pieces of it, but it reminds me of like a cornbread cake, but it's from cast iron. But it's a
pancake.
It's a pancake. It really is a pancake. So if you like that, or you want to try this particular recipe, the link is in the description below. So that is Instant Pot 2020 for our first show. What do you think?
It was good.
Yeah, you like that intro?
I do like the intro.
Nice. So next thing we're going to talk about, if there's any comments or anything like that, let's go ahead and read them.
Okay, so Anita,
one
of the recipes I found is a Death by Chocolate cheesecake Instapot recipe. And he doesn't like cheesecake because cheesecake doesn't like him.
I don't like cheesecake.
Well, and your tummy doesn't like cheesecake either.
I just don't like cheesecake.
I love cheesecake, and I never get cheesecake because he doesn't like cheesecake, and I'm not going to buy a whole one just
It's
for
funny
me.
because I bought a supreme pizza yesterday. All me. You know why? She doesn't like mushrooms.
And peppers.
And peppers.
And onions.
And onions.
Yeah, but like,
all
I
those
don't know.
good things.
Cheesecake, it's just...
Yeah.
I can't eat a whole
I just don't
cheesecake.
like cheesecake.
So, but he saw this recipe and was like, I would try that.
I would definitely try it. It looks really good. No, don't get me wrong. It's in an Instant Pot, so it's going to be a 6 or 7 inch round pan. It's not going to be a huge, it's a freaking cheesecake.
Yeah.
But,
I'm excited. So that will be one of our recipes.
We're excited about that.
Maybe next week's recipe.
So another portion that I wanted to do for the new format was adding a few news articles.
Old Ways New Time says it's un-American not to like cheesecake.
Oh, thank you very much. Well,
I am interested. So, do you have a recipe? She says I make dog food in my Instapot.
What? Interesting.
So if you have a recipe or something, because I'm intrigued by that.
Intrigued by that, most definitely. So I had decided, hey, wouldn't it be great to put up a couple of news articles that people may not be aware of what's going on, because the streamlined media does not push a lot of stories that are very important in the times, and some are light, some are going to be kind of a little harsh. But if you ever watched Brad's show,
Full Spectrum
Survival, he used to do News Watch every day, and he would cover down on different videos, different stories that didn't work out. And so I'm going to do that myself, and we are going to do the newsreel. How you like them apples? You like
I like
that?
it.
See? I hope you guys enjoy it. If you like the intros, just go ahead and click, hey, good job. If you don't, that's fine. We'll try to continue to use it and not push it too much. But let me put the display up here. We'll talk about a few things. Now, I have added all the links to these stories at the bottom. I'm not going to get deep into the stories themselves.
How many stories did you do?
3.
Seriously?
Because we'd be here all night.
1 and 1.
No.
That's what you told me.
That's
You'd
different.
pick a story, I'd pick a story.
That's the article of the week. That's different. So, let me get the display up here and talk about the 3 things. So, Vermont has decided to introduce a bill banning all cell phones from people under the age of 21.
It says, but it's not what you think, so I'm waiting to see.
Seriously? So what they're talking about is how dangerous it is for kids to be using cell phones while they're driving, while they're doing other things. Same thing with vaping. Just like it's the beginning of the year, end of last year, they passed a bill federally saying that beginning of next year, the federal law will be smokers and vapors will have to be at least 21 in order to purchase those.
Which is crazy because I have friends who, their 18-year-old would stop and pick them up a pack on their way home,
right?
And now they can't, and stuff like that.
What do you think about the moving of the age to 21? Here's my.
I don't agree with it. If you I mean, it is what it is. Like we've been in. I don't know. I have a different view on it because we've been in other countries where the ages are different.
Yes.
My opinion is that if you can
die for your country,
you should be able to buy a pack of cigarettes.
So I'm just saying, along with those lines, that if you're going to move everything up to 21, you might as well move the required selective service up to 21.
Yeah.
Because if they're not mature enough to be doing any of this stuff, they're not mature enough to be to put a gun in their hands and send them off to war.
Yeah.
You agree?
It's a valid point.
That's my opinion only. If you have a different opinion, leave your comments below. So, you're going to like this next one. California is enlisting the help of goats to
because they eat all the brush stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're turning back to an old way of getting brush down from places that people cannot get to. As you know, goats are very nimble.
And they
And
eat.
they eat a lot. They eat. That's all they do. And so for places that people can't get to cut this brush down, that's burning, they are starting to rely on goats. Several counties in California have enlisted or have bought county goats.
I'm going to be a county goat caretaker.
County goat caretaker. How cool is that?
I like it.
Now, I took a picture down just to show you guys exactly the before and after of what it looks like when a goat goes through a section. And you can see here on the top
I mean,
what
it's
it looked
pretty
like
obvious.
before. And then on the bottom, this is what it looks like after the goats get through. And all they do is string up an electrical line. They put 30 or 40 goats in a section in an acre, and within 3 days, it'll look like that.
Wow.
How cool is that? What do you think?
I think it's pretty cool. It's, like you said, it's going back to old school land clearing, but sometimes, I mean...
Goats are being utilized now in solar array farms as well.
Oh, for around the...
Because it's
yeah,
in
that
close
one over
property.
there on Airport has one.
Has goats in it?
Yeah, they have goats in it too.
All right, so this is going to be very interesting. Now I'm going to show you the article, not the article, but the actual job listing. So the United Nations is now hiring disarmament officers in New York. Have you heard this on the news?
No.
No, you haven't. So what I posted on the screen is the actual job posting from Indeed.com. This is a literal, real thing, and it's disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration officers for the United Nations. Now, long story short, I'm going to give you 3 definitions of the title. So this is what disarmament is. Disarmament is the collection, documentation, control, and disposal of small arms, ammunition, explosives, and light and heavy weapons of combatants, and often also of civilian population. Disarmament also includes the development of responsible arms management programs. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds a little wacky to me. What do you think, babe?
I don't know if I have an opinion
A
yet.
little scared about this yet? So demobilization is the formal and controlled discharge of active combatants from armed forces or armed groups. And then the last part is reintegration. And reintegration is the process by which ex-combatants acquire civilian status and gain sustainable employment and income. Reintegration is essentially a social and economic process with an open time frame, primarily taking place in communities at a local level. Now,
I have a lot of questions.
right? A lot of people have a lot of questions about this, but it's very vague about what the actual facts are behind it. Now, those definitions I gave you were from a different website. It's actually from a website that had dictionary references, and so this acts as a focal point of disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration components for 2 or 3 missions.
What is the Department of Peacekeeping Operations?
It's a good question. I have no idea. But this is an actual job position that the UN in our United States is posting for people to come into and do. What are they preparing for? Who are they preparing for? And why are they preparing for that? So what do you think? How weird does that sound? I told you they were going to be a little weird. Some of them were going to be weird. Some were going to be a little controversial.
I don't know. Like, without more information, I'm hesitant to, like, is it going to be an internal thing for the United States? Are they going to be bringing people over?
Right.
And that's who's getting integrated in?
Right. But
reintegration to me is like you were part of society, you were taken out of it for a reason, now you're being put back in it.
Right.
So I don't know.
Always Steve says 18 is an adult across the board. Or it is.
Yeah.
Goats are good for cleaning up undergrowth.
I think official county goat wrangler would look real good on a jacket. I'm just saying.
I think it would too. I think it's perfect. Donna says, I've heard people renting their flocks out and doing just that.
I saw an article. We were at work, and there was an article. I want to say it was in Michigan, and somebody's landscaping goats got out and went through this suburban neighborhood, like Sinclair, like that kind of neighborhood,
Right.
and ate everyone's flowers. They zoned an entire like gated community's flowers before somebody was like,
Bernie
"Oh my
Sanders.
God, my
Bernie
goats!"
Sanders.
Yeah.
Entire flowers. Another thing, Donna, you can actually rent goats through Amazon.
In certain areas.
In certain areas. Yes. But you can rent goats through Amazon. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Food Forest Permaculture says, sounds like danger to me. Yep. Sounds like danger to me, too. What my thing is, even if it's the UN, even if it's not.
Hey, see, Dean.
See, Dean, wow.
It's like old home week up
I'm
here.
telling you, even if it's not related to the United States, it's still taking place on United States soil. That's an issue with me.
I don't know.
Always Steve says the UN is made up of mostly dictators. They want to disarm the populace, and that could happen later down the road.
What do you think's happening in Virginia?
Virginia right now is going through some Second Amendment issues. The majority there is all Democratic, and they want to get rid of guns altogether. But they're doing it wrong. They're going about attacking the people who own guns legally instead of the people who own guns illegally. And so they think attacking the legal problem is going to disarm the illegal problem, when it's just going to have the opposite effect.
Yeah.
But you know
that one with the church shooting that just happened? He was not a legal gun owner.
Right.
Like, he got his illegally.
Mm-hmm.
Still, he still got one. It's not, and it was the legal owners that...
I can't remember the name of the county, but the county sheriff said if that were to happen, then he would deputize every person that is legal to own a weapon. Because you can have a standby deputy.
Yeah.
And he would deputize as many people as it would take. Of course, you would get looked at first, but he would deputize any person that owned a firearm so they would not get them taken away from him. That's a state right. And that's a county right. Because when all hell breaks loose, if it ever does, it's going to go down to the county level. And guess who's the most important and powerful person in the county when something like this happens?
The sheriff. The
sheriff of that county. That's why they're an elected official by the people of that county. And so remember that next time you guys have a sheriff's election. And so, sorry.
Any other? Everybody's saying hi.
So yeah, it's good to have everybody back. It feels like old times. It's been a while since all these people have been here in one place. I'm glad to have you guys here, enjoying our live show here. So that was the newsreel, and and there she goes. So the boom goes the dynamite. And so the next section we want to incorporate are two articles. I have an article of the week. She's got an article of the week. I'm going to talk about mine first, then she's going to talk about yours, unless you want to reverse it up. But this is called the article of the week. And that is the article of the week intro. So let me get the display capture back on here.
Thank you for the bless yous.
So there's another goat picture of goats eating stuff. We talked about the discernment. So and these articles are at the bottom of the screen as well, in the description. Mine is one that came from Brad from Full Spectrum Survival. It's called Laziness Will Kill You, literally and figuratively. And my articles are more related to the SHTF preparing side of things. And so this right here, just in a nutshell, I'm going to take it down to the bottom where the tips are. It tells you how not to be lazy. Set a timer, schedule a day, plan your day, and write a list of things that need to get done. Check them off as they're getting done. And eventually you'll get to a point to where you'll have a what's called recurring thing, where you do it over and over and over again. habit
I have it.
of doing things, because right here at the bottom, it's short and sweet. It says, you want to save money, do the work. You want to be a better prepper, do the work. You want to be a homesteader, you got to do the work. Off grid, you want to garden, you want to lose weight, you want to learn a new skill, you want to eat better and drink more water. Hey, you've got to do the work. You cannot be lazy. Literally and figuratively, being lazy will kill you in the end. And so that is my article of the week.
This one's mine. Good old Florida man. So the reason I picked one, I work with animals, so zoonotic issues and diseases are, kind of important to me. But I picked this one because, and I can tie it back to homesteading. Being homesteaders,
They can't see you, so you
I
can
know,
do
but
all that you want.
they heard my raspberry. So you deal with wild animals. You're hunting them. You're protecting your livestock. All these different things where you can, and depending on where you are, you're going to have different types of wild animals that you would come into contact with. So in this article, he actually, back in the day, he was a armadillo hunter, which I thought is just a fantastic job title. And so he trapped armadillos over 30 years ago. He's now in his mid-50s, and he kept getting this rash with numbness behind it, and it would clear up, it would come back. They would try medication, it'd clear up, and it'd come back. Well, they finally he got diagnosed with Hansen's disease, which is the official name of leprosy.
Got Umbop disease. Umbop. No, Hansen.
Hansen, I got it. But yeah, so, and because armadillos are a carrier of the bacteria, so he, there were, several people in Central Florida over the past few years that have been diagnosed with it. And I just thought it was interesting. One, it is kind of a fun story. Like, you don't hear about leprosy and like an armadillo hunter, seriously. But also it's just also something to think about. We are in this kind of lifestyle where we hunt. You deal with deer and ticks and
plus exposure. If I see rabies, an armadillo, I'm not necessarily going to go try to cuddle with it.
Well, but at the same time, if you got one that's trying to get in and eat your chicken eggs, you're going to dispatch of it.
Yep.
True. So it's not necessarily like as a hunter or something, but you also have to protect your own.
Yep.
So there are ways, we have rabies here. That is an issue. We have had rabid animals bite humans in our county, so it makes me think of those types of things and just, it's a fun story. It's, armadillos. Like, I don't think I've ever seen an armadillo outside of a zoo, but it's still something to, well, you grew up in Texas, honey. So it's just something to think about. Like, you protecting your own, you're trying to put food on the table, but also, protect yourself as well.
Always, Don says it takes 21 days to get a new habit going. Always, Steve says armadillo, tactical assault possum.
Or a tire killer.
Possum in a half shell. Gloves, just saying, Steve says. Food Forest says hunt, gather, and grow, forage, barter, and trade, plant, food forest, and feed yourselves for a lifetime. Eco Village made a cob of cob houses. Regreen the desert for a new lung for a creature. Good night to you, Food Forest.
Have shovel will murder.
Have shovel will murder. I mean, their armadillos are cute. Cute as a button.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Sybil said the last case in Texas was from a woman that processed armadillos, and that was like 40 years ago. Yeah, I just never thought.
I've had armadillo before in Texas.
Yeah.
Obviously. And why is your cat?
Because she climbed you.
This is so weird. This cat does not ever, like, hey, pet me.
Come here, honey.
But, yeah, that's interesting. So that is my article of the week. Megan's article of the week. We hope you enjoyed that. And, if you have something you want to point our way, maybe we can make that our article of the week. So the next section we're supposed to have up is the comment of the week. And I'm going to post the. I'm going to now share the intro for the comment. What'd you think?
That's good.
Yeah. Well, we have no comments. Boo boo. The reason why I have no comments is nobody's commented on any of our stuff in the past 2 weeks, and that's needless to say. We have been quite lazy on our side,
Yeah.
and we hope to bring you guys more content. We'll be bringing out more videos and everything like that, so you guys can see more stuff and then comment on them. And so in that section, we would go through our comments, find the best ones that we like, and we would share them with the rest of the viewing peoples. So, no comments. So, before we start our actual section, going into tonight's main topic, the truth about GMOs, we'd like to take this moment to say that our website is back up and running, and it's used as a place for people to come get information. It's an open source library for folks to get information about homesteading, about gardening, about things that will happen in the SHTF, and each section should have a PDF that you can use. It's all open source. There's also each section should also have 5 videos related to that: earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, and whatnot, things that people deal with on a daily basis. And so in order to fund that site, which we can do it out of our own pocket, which we do now, but in order to fund that site, we also opened up our Etsy store.
Yep.
And so we're also going to feature in our shows every week the product of that week that we've chosen for that section. And so the product of this week is, where's it at? Commercial picks. Yeah. Oh, let's run a commercial break here first. I got an intro for them all, folks. So today's product is actually Steel Tech, the steel construction system. And on the video, I tried to make a video about this, but I kept saying it was, instead of an erector set, that it was an erection set. But so I didn't do the video this time. And the fact is, every time I posted a video or made a video for this commercial, it would sell on the internet. And so this is Steel Tech. These are little erector sets from the early 1990s. This one's from 1992, and it has all the tools in it. And the box is pretty beaten up, right? So I'm like, oh, it's going to be horrible. I'm going to have to throw this away because if it's not complete, we don't sell it, right? And so I opened the box up, and lo and behold, on the inside, everything is untouched. The wheels have not been pulled out of the styrofoam there. All the parts are in the plastic. They have not been opened at all. It is 100% complete, brand new in box with a beat up box. And so that's what we're selling. And I actually have a commercial from the early 1990s for this particular brand. So here's that commercial.
Born out of steel and forging the way, the Steel Tech construction system. Feel the magnetic force, because no matter how powerful your imagination might be, Steel Tech is the beginning of creation. Each set sold separately, batteries not included.
So that is available on our website. I'm going to pull up the website real quick. This is the Breakaway Homestead Etsy site.
Say maybe.
It's actually product number 1 on there. It was the last one. I uploaded this product just today simply because I didn't want it gone before we can advertise it. But you can see here, folks, we are building up our inventory, which we have a lot. And we're putting there things that people can use during an SHTF situation to keep their mind
Yeah, to occupy yourself.
occupied. And so,
have a little relaxation. Step away from it all.
Exactly. And everything we sell on Etsy, because of Etsy policies, is actually considered retro. Even that from 1992 is considered a antique.
That means I'm an antique.
Oh, yes, you are, honey. Yes, you are. And we will not talk about half the people there either. But yeah, bring it back to the comment section there. So we're using that to fund our website, so you guys can have the things that you need and want there available to you for free, and it doesn't cost us anything either. It negates the price of that website, the costs of running. So that was the commercial break, and now we're going to get into our actual topic. So tonight's topic is the truth about GMOs. And I'm going to unlock this, and I'm going to put this in the corner. Bring it down, put it in the corner here. So when people watch the video, they can figure out which section is what by going to that section. Sound good? And so tonight's topic is the truth about GMOs. Give me a second. My throat's dry. So GMOs, foods containing genetically modified organisms, are everywhere, and they're likely to have been a part of your diet for almost 20 years now. The process of introducing a gene from one organism into an unrelated organism has made its way onto our grocery store shelves via items like milk, cheese, veggie burgers, cereals, and cookies. Most of the corn, cotton, and soybeans grown in the United States come from genetically modified plants, and almost all the processed and packaged foods contain corn or soybeans in one form or another. Controversies surround these crops. While they have undoubtedly benefited humans in some ways, worldwide lifespans have been lengthened during the era of GMOs, particularly due to the improved nutrition made possible through GMO technology.
I also think part of that too, and one thing I was going to throw in is that the proponents for it, there's less farmland now and more people to feed.
The science behind it was meant to be good.
So having something that can guarantee a certain amount of yield in a smaller space is more beneficial when you have smaller spaces to grow, but you have more mouths to feed.
Right.
So the initial intention
was good.
But
the profitability of GMO products, the GMO industry, has led large-scale agricultural companies to rush products to the market without the level of testing many would consider adequate to ensure it's safe for humans and it's safe for our environment.
The Environmental Working Group conservatively estimates that each American consumes about 190 pounds of GM foods every year. So unless your diet has been composed almost entirely of organically grown, unprocessed ingredients for years or even decades, you've been, part of that experiment.
How's that make you feel about being part of that?
Not great. It's interesting, though, how you see more and more stuff being labeled now.
It's getting worse and worse. For example, you're having issues at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because possibly of GMO foods?
I don't know, because I haven't thought about it.
It's possible. So GMOs, let's talk about the basics. Any, Mama Donna's out. Good night, Donna.
I think she's already gone.
Okay.
So what are
genetically
modified plants. Genetically modified plants are designed to resist the direct application of herbicides, such as like Roundup, or to produce themselves
as an insecticide.
Okay, sorry, your notes. That's not English. Basically, all GMO crops have been genetically manipulated to be tolerant or resistant to different patented herbicides.
Glyphosate.
And, okay. Well, I'm sorry. It's
all right.
Not a
You
sentence.
can't read. Glyphosate is the actual chemical that makes it Roundup.
Produced by companies, like Monsanto, which I think is the big one that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
Also, GMO seeds are patented and are designed to resist specific insects or illnesses that could affect that particular crop.
Right. So the main purpose of GMO for crops is basically twofold. One is to keep all the weeds up so the plant can grow more and more big and with more
big.
product.
More
Yes.
big. It's going to grow more big.
Uh,
We'll give you information. We can't promise English.
well, don't talk about genetics in front of me. And the second portion of that is having a plant that is resistant to bugs. So if the bugs eat it, they actually die because of the genetic changes in the plant. So how does it work? Scientists rely on a few methods to transfer genes into the DNA of a plant. Even after many years of development, all are surprisingly imprecise. They carry potential risks. Methods of gene transfer include physically shooting DNA into a host organism or using bacteria or viruses to transfer genes. Antibiotics are regularly employed to help scientists figure out which hosts have efficiently incorporated the DNA. Scientists are not able to precisely control where the genetic material lands. How it's landing affects the surrounding DNA of the plant, or whether other genes are antibiotic resistant.
See, I always thought it was more precise.
Right, it's
like
not.
we can make a baby in a test tube, but you can't tell me how my corn's gonna grow.
Exactly.
Like I don't.
According to genetic engineering expert Jeffrey Smith.
Good old Jimmy.
Good old Jimmy. Well, I'll tell you what I think. Jeffrey Smith, who oversees the institute responsible for the technology, he says, in quotations, the single most common outcome of genetic engineering has always been a surprise.
That's terrifying.
Let's just throw something at it. That's all I get out of that. And so the question is, who benefits from GMOs?
So a lot of the major players profiting from the nearly silent introduction of GM foods into our marketplace include Monsanto, Syngenta, DuPont, and Bayer.
Bayer just bought Monsanto last year.
Did they really?
Yes, they did.
These companies make money by selling farmers their patented like their patented GMOs, but also the pesticides and stuff that go with it. The pesticides fulfill the purpose of the GM plants in the case of pesticide-resistant crops, which compromise much of the GM markets. And I know there's been issues where, like, if you have a farmer that has it and a farmer that doesn't,
right?
If the wind blows on, like,
Right.
I
It's
know,
crossbreeding.
yeah.
So here's the deal: the genetic modified market has two things. They got pesticides that allow the plant to grow, that allow the plant to be more profitable,
Yeah.
that allow the plant not to have weeds, that allow the plant not to have bugs. So you got your pesticide side of it, and then you got the actual seed itself. Without the combination of the two, it doesn't work out. And there is cross-pollination. And this is patented science information that is in the plant. And if another field next to it gets cross-pollinated, and those genes get into that corn, it now becomes now goes under their patent,
Yeah.
and they lose their fields unless they pay them for their
privilege.
for the privilege of having their patented product. So
Um,
these companies already have control over a vast majority of seeds available to farmers and gardeners.
I actually get commercials on the radio, the Southern Farm Network, when I have to go in early, that have commercials for like Roundup Ready plants and stuff like that here.
Yeah. Genetically engineering seeds gives companies an extra measure of control because once engineered, the seeds can be patented, making it illegal to plant these crops without purchasing the right to do so from the patent owner. And saving seeds to use from one year to the next, an ancient and fundamental tenet of our sustainability, is prohibited under technology agreements. Farmers are forced to sign with Monsanto and these other companies and other biotech manufacturers. So they have no choice. They have to do it.
Yeah. The FDA allows these companies that develop GM foods to be the same entities that were responsible for ensuring the GM food safety. Policy that was set in place by the FDA in 1992 against the advice of some of the FDA scientists, because why listen to your scientists? As long as the biotech firm or the company that stands to profit from the sale considers the GM food to be substantially equivalent to a food that is generally recognized as safe, then the novel food is approved for the market. So I can be like, hey, my lead ice cream is very similar to this vanilla ice cream. It's totes safe. And then I can give you my lead ice cream, and boom, we're good to go.
Is that FDA approved? No, but because
I said it was safe, because
so you're good.
Yeah, so it's not great, and you see this in a lot of different entities as well in the medical community. As long as you can have heart valve A was approved 40 years ago. Well, now heart valve G down here still has bits and pieces that work back to heart valve A. It doesn't need its own separate approval.
Right.
So it's the same situation. It's a legal loophole in a way. So it's
Ronnie Cummins, the author of Genetically Engineered Food. It's a book. A self-defense guide for consumers, calls attention to the difference in the regulatory policies concerning genetically modified food between the United States and other nations. U.S. agencies treat GE foods no differently than other foods, requiring neither mandatory safety testing or labeling, he writes. Yet more than 50 countries that allow GM foods on the market require labeling, including most of the European Union, Japan, Russia, and China. Some countries have forbidden the sale of genetically modified foods.
We saw that a lot when we were overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what grows, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Exactly.
You eat something else. You
eat what's in season.
Yeah.
And in India, which is the world's largest cotton producer, recently recommended a 10-year moratorium on GM use due to the cross-contamination with non-GM crops. So they're going to put a moratorium on all GM so their crops can go back to basics and go back to the point where they're no longer
That's pretty progressive.
modified.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's crazy.
And that next statement right there really says in a nutshell what you were talking about.
In
earlier.
a New York Times Magazine essay, food studies author Michael Pollan writes, and is a quote, "These new crops are revolutionary enough," and then in parentheses, "a new agricultural paradigm," that Monsanto said, "to deserve patent protection and government support. Yet at the same time, the food made from them was no different than it ever was, so it did not need to be labeled." And that is, that to me is a contradiction. Like, if this is mine and I say it's mine, it should be held, it's so different than yours, it should be held to a standard of safety.
Right.
And I know then, there's concerns about potential health risks coming from, these GMO plants. The number one thing, that's definitely a concern is allergies. Because the GM technology has the capacity to create new allergens in our food supply, allergic reactions are typically brought on by the proteins in the thing, the item. And genetic engineering can increase the levels of a naturally occurring allergen already present in the food, or insert allergenic properties into a food that not previously contained them. Because you're injecting DNA into something that it wasn't in before, you can create these allergies or intensify the ones that are already there.
One day you're not allergic to fish, next day you're allergic to fish.
Yeah.
Because they genetically modified it. It can also result in a brand new allergies. And it's crazy. The number two issue for your health is antibiotic resistance. Genetic engineers rely heavily on antibiotics to help them determine which of their genetic experiments will succeed. It works like this. Not all host cells will take up foreign genes, so engineers attach a trait for a particular type of antibiotic resistance to the gene they introduce into the host cell. So they put an antibiotic in there, and to see how it will react, right? After they've introduced the gene into the cells, they douse all the cells with the antibiotic to see which ones will survive, meaning the surviving cells are antibiotic resistant. And therefore, engineers know they have taken up the foreign gene. Quite simply, eating GM food makes you more antibiotic resistant.
Do you really think so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Overuse of antibiotics can potentially cause the development of antibiotic resistant pathogens. Several health organizations, including the World Health Organization and the American Medical Association, have spoken out about the need for the use of these antibiotics to be phased out of the process of making GM foods so our antibiotics can stay for medical use and not food use.
That's crazy. Like,
Are you getting it now? I told you tonight's topic would be freaking crazy.
I just never knew, like, I knew, like, the genetic side of it, like injecting DNA from one thing to another, but I never knew. You hear about the antibiotic stuff in, like, meat.
Right.
You know, with, like, cows that are treated with antibiotics and, you know, stuff like that.
And passing the
you know,
antibiotics.
But I never.
It's the same way with the food they eat as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Another concern is the pesticide exposure. The majority of GM crops in cultivation are engineered to contain a gene for pesticide resistance. Most are Roundup ready, meaning they can be sprayed with Monsanto's glyphosate herbicide
Yeah.
Roundup without being harmed. The idea is if the crop itself is immune to Roundup, you can spray it to kill any weeds, you know, surrounding the plant, endangering the plant without worrying about harming your crop, which, you know, in theory sounds great. Like, oh, I can kill everything else, but my corn's still going to grow. But if you're spraying it more liberally because you can, because you know it's not going to hurt your crop, then the human exposure is increased.
Yeah.
You know, and I know there's been several lawsuits with Roundup linked to
there's
severe health problems.
There's a guy in California that got over $260 million from Monsanto because they proved that it was directly related to being exposed to the herbicide Roundup,
Yeah.
which is glyphosate.
Yeah, and it, you know, there's numerous health problems in animal studies, you know, with birth defects, reproductive damage, cancer, endocrine disruption. You know, it's been proved in people now, you know, where they like their money. They're not going to give them.
And that's the issue. It's become a monster in the fact that it's all about the money now, not about world hunger, not about stuff like that. These biotech industries claim that herbicide-resistant genetically modified plants should use fewer pesticides. That was the goal because they're using this patented technology. And herbicides that than conventional crops where they use regular herbicides. But a recent study from Washington State University found that the use of herbicide Roundup or glyphosate has actually increased about 25% overall in the three main genetically modified crops. So they're adding more to their crops now because
this kind of throws it back to the antibiotics. This means that the weeds that died before are becoming super weeds that have now developed resistance to the herbicide in question. This resistance leads to the need for newer and ever more toxic pesticides and new genetically modified strains. So it's also good. It ties back in with the health again. The antibiotics, you know, we are creating these super bugs that don't work for, you know, nothing works on because we've overused something else. Then you have the unpredictability and the unknown. You know, it's foreign genetic material in a host can cause other genetic material in that host to behave erratically. You know, like the quote from before, every time they do it, it's a surprise.
Yep.
You know, and genes can be suppressed or overexpressed, you know, causing a wide variety of results. You know, like if DNA, it's why we are the way we are, and you mess with something in it, it throws everything out of whack because now those chains aren't, like on the scientific side, those chains aren't working the way that they were designed to work. One consequence of overexpression, for example, can be cancer. You know, your cells just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Nutritional problems can also result from the transfer. In one example, cows that ate Roundup Ready soybeans produced milk with more fat in it. In another example, milk from cows injected with a genetically engineered growth hormone were found by a number of researchers to have substantially higher levels of a compound known as insulin-like growth factor 1, which is linked to human breast, colon, and prostate cancers. GM crops have been linked to health problems as diverse as reproductive damage, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and diabetes. So if this is happening now, what does the future of GM crops hold? And then it says boobs.
So I put this.
Pat typed these notes, so I don't know what's going on.
I put this.
Literally says boobs.
It literally says boobs on the page. And I put this reference in there to talk about. I don't know about you, but the maturity of little girls to women has the age.
I just want to prove.
Yeah,
literally,
those are the notes, folks.
Literally says boobs. Well, you see it in boys too.
We see it in boys as well. That they're getting more estrogen than ever, and this is caused by these genetically modified drugs that be pumped into the cows to produce more milk for more people, right? And so girls are getting boobs quicker. Boys are getting fat and not getting skinny. Once they hit puberty, they don't slim down; they get worse.
Yeah. And
girls, by the time they're 10, by the time they're 12 years old, when they're supposed to be going into that cycle, they got a full rack on them. I'm just saying, I think it's the milk.
Yeah.
So that's why
yeah.
That's why I put boobs in there.
Boobs.
So GMOs, let's do something about it. In many ways, the science and technology advancement behind genetic engineering is truly exciting. The question isn't whether we should encourage or allow scientific experimentation. The problem is the lack of transparency. Numerous independent studies have revealed GM foods to be unsafe, yet the public is not made aware of where we might be able to find these organisms in our food supply. Excuse me. Most importantly, if you want to opt out of the great GM... Sorry, yeah, you moved it up, sorry.
All right.
The first time since the introduction of GM foods, genetically modified foods, Americans had the chance to force the hand of these biotech giants in California's Proposition 37, which would have required genetically modified foods to be labeled.
Unfortunately, the measure did not pass after a massive campaign on the part of the industry that profits from GM foods. To find out which food manufacturers supported and opposed this landmark legislation, see, despite the loss, the fight to win and support for the label of GM food continues.
Most importantly, if you want to opt out of the great GM experiment, you have options. For starters, choose certified organic foods, which are not legally allowed to contain genetically modified ingredients. You can also choose whole foods, unprocessed foods such as fresh produce and whole grains, most of which have not been engineered. When choosing non-organic processed foods, it gets trickier. Your only guaranteed option are to buy processed foods that are either certified organic or non-GMO protected verified. For a helpful guide to make sure you're doing the smart choices, see Where Are GM Foods in the Grocery Store. It's a book, and you can get that off of Amazon. But I also have a picture here to share with you guys. Go ahead.
I thought you were going to share a picture.
I will.
Oh, okay. So where are the GM foods in the grocery store? Everywhere. In the United States, 70% or more of the processed foods in the supermarket directly or indirectly contain genetically modified ingredients. Apparently, we have an illustration to show how prevalent GM foods have become on store shelves. The best way to avoid... He took away my cheaters.
Well, I have it right here.
I got mine. The best way to avoid GM food is to know which ingredients are likely to be GM and read the labels carefully, or always choose organic or non-GMO project verified foods. They actually have like a little boop on them, and so you can physically see. Dairy and eggs, unless labeled organic, RBST free or RBGH free. Everything in the dairy case probably contains milk that has been injected with a growth hormone, and it helps the cows get more milk. Or they were fed on GM corn, soy, canola, stuff like that. It's not just what goes into the meat, it's what they eat as well. For meat in general, GM corn and soy are so dominant in the United States that almost everything in the meat case comes from animals fed GM crops, which I did not realize because I don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh produce, you're not going to find many GI Joes, not many GM items. However, GM sweet corn arrived in 2012. Nearly all papayas sold in the United States have been GM since 1998. And that is weird to me, but it also oddly makes sense because it's one of those weird things that people want.
Right. Papayas aren't supposed to be the size bigger than a football. But if you go to the store,
you get a big old
they're
papaya.
massive.
Yeah. Cereals, unless they're labeled organic, cereals likely include GM ingredients, primarily corn, high fructose corn syrup, and other corn products. That was a big thing, just the corn products, high fructose corn syrup is in everything. Everything. And, where's all that corn coming from? So it's just something to think about. Of course, your processed foods, your cookies, your snacks, your chips, almost all are going to include a high fructose corn syrup, soybean, corn, or canola oil, soy lecithin or other soy isolates, corn, or other additives derived from the GM corn and soy. Once again, if these products are in literally everything on the shelf, if they're in your Walmart, they're in my Walmart, they're in our, they're everywhere. Well, that has to come from somewhere.
Right.
And so it's just something, you don't necessarily think about it, but when you do think about it, you're like, oh, that makes sense. Pasta, rice, and beans, pretty much safe. Wheat and rice and beans aren't genetically modified yet. But many heat and eat pasta meals include GM ingredients. So once again, it's the less processed, the better.
Uncle Ben's is a good example for that.
Buy your own pasta. Make your own pasta that you can take to work and heat and eat instead of buying the already made stuff, which I feel like most of the people in our audience probably would anyway. Ice cream and frozen prepared meals, unless they're organic, just don't. Don't. Oils, shortening, and fats. Olive oil is non-GM, provided it is not adulterated with another type of oil. Vegetable, in quotation, corn, soybean, and canola oils are usually GM. Solid shortenings are hydrogenated, canola, corn, and soybean oil. Condiments and prepared foods nearly all contain GM soy, corn, or canola unless otherwise labeled.
They have to be labeled organic, or that condiment is GM.
Yeah. The same bread and crackers. The bread, it's got the corn syrup in it. Soy-based ingredients. Once again, where does all that corn come from? And then soy products, unless they're certified organic or non-GMO project verified, soy products are likely containing GM organisms. Boop. Got another graphic, maybe?
Yeah, I got another graphic coming up, and I want to say thanks to you guys for bearing with us and actually going through this with us. This new show format will go over an hour, and we do it simply because we want all the information to get out.
Yeah.
And we are doing our best we can to get you prepared, so the next time you head to the grocery store, that you can make a educated decision on what you should be doing. So now I'm going to throw up an image on the screen. You have not seen this image yet.
I haven't seen most of the show.
I know. And you're kind of getting it as it goes through, which is hopefully it's
I like
very
it.
informative, right?
A little terrifying.
So I'm throwing up this image. Here it comes.
Ah!
These are Monsanto-related companies that have genetically modified ingredients in most of their products.
I mean, okay, so I look at them and it's like, okay, no shit. No, we identified as adult. I can say shit if I want to.
We did.
So, okay, so you look at the list. The ones that pop out that I'm like, Hostess. Okay, high fructose corn syrup. Wonder Bread, delicious white bread.
Yeah.
We almost never buy it, but it's nice every once in a while. Corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. Look, Kraft. We know Kraft for a fact because their barbecue sauce, it didn't used to contain it.
Yep.
Now it contains high fructose corn syrup, and we stopped buying it. Yeah. Morningstar. Yes, the vegetarian option. You look at that, but you're like, okay, the soy products. Yep. Where's all that soy coming from? Yep. So most of these, you look at them and you're like, makes sense. It, like even like Healthy Choice. It's just because it's healthier doesn't necessarily mean anything.
So here's one question. Out of all those labels, which one is the most, has the most genetically modified items or organisms inside of it?
It's not on there.
It is.
I know the answer and I can't find it.
I'll point to it.
Frito-Lay.
Yeah.
The corn chips, apparently.
The answer is Frito-Lay. So one thing, and this is our advice to you, is to stop eating corn chips altogether. Do not eat corn chips anymore. And we love corn chips.
That's like a tortilla chip?
No, the corn chips. The
scoops and stuff?
The scoops, jalapeno sauce. Yeah.
Some fat kids up in here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We love corn chips. So, tests show that every single chip within a bag of Frito-Lay corn chips tests positive for not only GMOs, but also for large amounts of Roundup weed killer. These chips are mashed up corn that is formed and deep fried in some other GM oil. The weed killer embeds itself onto the surface of the corn used that no amount of washing can remove.
That's terrifying.
So if you want a straight line, beeline, straight to cancer, that has been proven, you go ahead and continue to eat corn chips.
That's crazy.
So did any of those labels surprise you?
Not really.
Not any of them?
I mean, I've seen the pyramids before of, all of the brands that you can find in a store. There's like 5 parent companies that own them all. So, no, it really does not surprise me. None of that does.
Like Lean Cuisine, Nature Valley, Prego. No.
I'm telling you, I've seen charts before where it shows who owns what.
Yeah.
So no, this does not surprise me at all.
So, did any of these labels surprise you? Does any of this make you want to stop using or eating products that contain GMOs? Did you know, or did you see a product or hear about a product that has GMOs in it that you will no longer eat, like corn chips?
I'm probably going to eat corn chips. Maybe not. I mean, I don't eat them a lot. But I do, like, every once in a while. But it's like, okay, I like a Hostess cupcake from time to time. Oh, yes. Still gonna have one from time to time. Like, Yeah. But there are certain things, like, our biggest
I'm not worried about making babies. We're not worried about making babies.
Nope, that factory is closed.
So, yeah, we'll take that risk.
Yeah.
I have a Twinkie every once in a while. But...
Overall, though, we have moved to a healthier lifestyle, and a lot of that had to do with Huxley.
Yes.
Because we had to change a lot of stuff for him, and we noticed a difference in him when we did. Like cutting out stuff like the high fructose corn syrup. It's one of the reasons we now do the majority of our shopping at Aldi's.
Yep.
Is because it's not there.
It's a European-based store.
That's the standards that they hold. So they don't, it's different, and it tastes better too. I think anyway.
It does.
So we've made a lot of those changes, but there's still, it's easy to grab a frozen lunch to take to work, and you don't think about what's in there. You're just like, okay, I need food for lunch.
Yeah.
Let me grab, whatever.
Yeah. And
so it's the kind of going back to the whole food ingredients. And trying to make better choices, which, I mean, sometimes you won't.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
The end result is always the same.
Yeah.
So, we hope you enjoyed this program, and hope to see you next week, Thursday, 8:30
8:30, and
Eastern Standard Time.
we're still getting used to our format, so we'll have some good articles for you. I will try to find something funny.
It'll go a little smoother
I think
as we
today went
continue to
pretty
go through it.
smooth.
I think it went well as well.
We didn't fight.
No, we didn't.
There was no bickering, physical contact, nothing.
And we all learned some things.
I did.
And
I feel kind of bad because
I asked you the question in the beginning. Do you think genetically modified foods may be the cause of your issue? You said, I don't know. Now that you've been informed, what do you think?
I still am not willing to make a commitment.
Well, we hope you guys enjoy this program. We want you to leave comments down below. Tell us what you think about GMOs.
Love it, hate it, we don't care.
Yeah.
Let us know.
If you have any requests of show topics, anything like that we can cover down on. Now that you've seen the level that we're working at here, know that the topics will be well spoken for and well researched.
And with links below to where we get our information.
Exactly. This particular
topic
was from a Mother Earth Living magazine from the early teens.
Yeah.
And I read it and I was like, this has to be the topic of our first show.
So that's kind of where we go for. But we include the links. So where we get our information, it's not just pulled out of wherever.
All there. If you want to go see it yourself and read it yourself, go do that. We encourage it. So I'm Patrick.
I'm Megan.
And we're the Breakaway Homestead, and we hope to see you next Thursday
at 8:30
Eastern Standard Time.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one, y'all.